Radio Network. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com.
And now, live from Talkwad Studios in Tampa, Florida, Affairs of Your Heart with your host, Easy.
Good afternoon and welcome to Affairs of Your Heart, a show for us, by us, in hopes of finding a better us in the world of dating and relationships. I'm your host, Easy E, and to my left is our other new host, CC, will be our host on this show. Hi, Cece. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here.
Well, Cece also has another show on Talkwad's networks, and why don't you tell us about your other show?
Right. My other show is called Going Solo, Life After Divorce, and it's on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. It's for 1 hour, and you all are welcome to listen in. We talk about, various different things going through the devastation of divorce and basically through the transition of redefining ourselves, the transition into dating and relationships. And we talk about sex, so we really have a good time. And yes, there is life after divorce, so join us.
Well, great. I'm extremely excited about joining forces with CC because, number one, she has a passion on this topic the same as I do, and we think we have a wealth of information to pass along because we're passionate about helping people improve their dating and relationships out there in this oh-so-confusing world of ours. Last week, we had Men's Day, and we heard from some men and their opinions on dating, relationship, marriages, and divorces and those type things. And this week we're having Ladies Happy Hour. So this show is all about the women, nothing about the men, all about the frustrations and the things and the challenges women go through in the dating arena. And I'm sure you're prepared to tackle that subject, aren't you?
Well, I am a woman.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So we're going to, like last week, we're going to have some people that are going to call in to discuss their opinions on some questions that we're going to ask. And we're also going to have a caller at the end of the hour that has a lot of knowledge to impart upon us. As I mentioned, neither myself nor CC claim to be the experts in this field. We just have a passion in helping you get along better in your lives and in those areas. And we will find experts from time to time to come on the show and help us. So let's start today's discussion all about women. As I normally mention to all of you, I don't know, I'm a quote person and I always like researching on the internet, and I gave you several things last week as far as what is a good man, what's the difference between a real man and a good man, and all of those type of things. And so when I researched what is a woman on the internet, and I have to be real honest, CC, it was a little bit more complex than the research I found for a man. And in some instances, I'm not really surprised by that because I think that.
So are you saying we're complex? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. I'm saying you're complex.
We're complex, but in a good way, right?
In a good way, difficult to understand in a lot of ways. But I will pass along this opinion of mine is that I'm a staunch believer that all of us in life are better suited with a partner. That's just a belief of mine. A man with a woman or vice versa, but just a partner in life. I think all of us are more suited. But one thing I am a total believer of is that I believe a woman is the real chameleon in life. I mean, I admire a woman in a lot of ways, and that's to take nothing away from a man. But if you look at a woman, at times, she's the fixer of skin needs. She's the one who posts the papers with the stars in the refrigerator. She bakes the cookies for the bake sale. She babies her man even when she knows he's being a baby, and she becomes the CEO and president in some cases of companies. She covers a wide gamut of things, and most times with a smile on their face. I have to readily admit that a man has multiple skills as well, but oftentimes we don't perform some of those tasks with a smile on our face in all reality. So I do give a woman a lot of credit for being a chameleon. And that to me is the role of a good partner. Like I told you in other shows, you can't really define a lot of things because we're all different. We all have different needs, and we're all in different situations. And that's one admirable trait that once we get into talking about a good woman, that I admire good women, because she's a chameleon in understanding what the relationship requires, and she goes to those areas and helps of assisting in those areas. And I'm being real honest. That's my belief of what a woman does.
Well, you know, women tend to be nurturers. We tend to be a little bit more emotional than men, and fairly said that we do tend to be, you know, the mom with regards to if we're, you know, have a family, you know, of course. So, I mean, I do think women in today's world, we wear many hats.
Right.
And when we're talking about our subject, which is equality, you know, a quality woman, there's many women out there in many different walks of life doing many different things. But when we're talking about relationships, I really do think the woman it holds the glue to the relationship, and as she does, you know, in her family. And the reason being is because men tend to be, you know, still again, you know, they're going out, you know, and working and, you know, bringing the money home and whatever. And women do that now today too. But we're just, because of our setup and our chemistry, you know, we tend to be a little bit more, you know, emotional, more nurturing.
Right.
And because of that, I think that creates the glue, you know, to the onset of the relationship.
But would you say that a good woman also looks for the good man to be a leader in the relationship as well? That is a man's role, to be a leader. I mean, he's the one I feel that should set the tone, that we're going down this harmonious path, and here's a direction I want you to be supportive of. That's a man's role. And I think a woman looks for a man to be a leader.
I think that's stereotyping a little bit, because I think in today's world that is changing, and there are men out there that are okay to have their woman take the lead. I think the thing is you have to have the communication within the relationship to be able to determine who's going to take the lead and in what area. A lot of times you'll see the man will take a lead in a particular area and the woman kind of sits back a little bit. Okay. A woman needs to know when to sit back and let her man be a man.
Right.
You know? And
I think
that's a trait of a quality woman, is to
true.
know when to step back and say, okay, guy, you know, it's your thing, and I'm going to let you. You know,
Right.
we need to edify our men. We need to praise them and love them and do all of the things, because you know why? They're special to us. You know, when a man becomes into our lives as a partner, he's unique and special.
Right,
so
absolutely.
a good quality woman knows that. You know, so it's not really about, you know, what particular role. I mean, they're, you know, as far as in the workforce and all that, the lives have changed. People have changed.
In the workforce they have. But I mean, in a relationship, or particularly if you get to a marriage, you want a man that's going to be accountable and stand upright, that you know is dependable, and that he's going to provide a direction or a path or something that you can believe in or buy into. I definitely believe it's a partnership. I don't mean one leads the other without a say-so.
Right.
I think where the lines have gotten skewed at is we've all faced those people who aren't those type of people. You've got a man who doesn't want to lead with a woman who's frustrated because he isn't leading, and I think that's happened so much that once you're back out of those rules, it's hard for some of us to step back and take an understanding. Because I know many times I've entered into dated somebody who I felt really was stepping on my toes to the point of irritation. You know, because I could see she hadn't experienced somebody who wanted to be accountable representative, and it almost became like a battle of wheels. And it's like, I don't have to battle, I don't want to go through this,
Well, see, the thing is there's, I'm going to back up just a minute, because I personally feel that every individual is a quality person. There's qualities about them that make them special and unique to who they are. So now when we put that quality individual into the mix of things, and then we start looking at relationships. Not every relationship is the right relationship.
Very true. Yeah.
So what you have to do is match those core values, what I think that they are, that makes you the quality person that you are. And once you can get on a level playing field on that, you can have a good relationship. But there's going to be ups and downs in every relationship, communication, that kind of thing. But as far as you really do have to match those core values, they have to be very similar or close to their.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we have Ladies Happy Hour today, as we did last week, and having a Men's Day, is to promote those core values of individuals. I want people to speak out freely about what makes them a good person, what good qualities do they have. We're always taught that if you promote yourself or speak to yourself too much, what's the first word come out of? I don't want them to think that I'm a braggart. Well, you don't have to be a braggart. What you want to do is to vocally display confidence in yourself, because the more you believe it in yourself, the more others will see it without you opening your mouth. They'll be able to see that you're a confident person, or that you're a wise person, or what it is. And so that's what today's show about, self-promotion of women, as it was last week. And you're right, it's the core values of the individual. Absolutely. Because that's what's going to it really is what's going to attract a good man or a good woman or a good partner, and whatever the situation is. It's what's going to attract them is your core values.
Absolutely. I think we're going to try a call. Are we not going to try a call today? Or
yeah, we're gonna talk to some people in just a little bit. I think they're gonna get some callers on the line for us to talk to some ladies.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to cue that or not.
They're gonna let us know when we have some callers on the line. But like I said, I'm very excited, as you know, when you and I talked about this show, the core values of people, because that's what I look for us to be able to do, to have people hone in on their core values, no matter where they feel bruised in life up to this point, or what has come across them. We all could use an enhancement in knowing, like you said, that every person has good qualities. Every person has something beneficial for somebody, and that's what we want them to understand. They need to start speaking it to themselves, speaking it to others, so they can start feeling that.
Right. Well, I did a little research too, and I came up with some of the things that actually men said they were looking for in women, which I think they're definitely there with women. And one of them was they're looking for an intelligent, well-rounded woman. And what would you say about that?
I think that's definitely true. That's what it's an attractive trait. It's a very attractive trait, and that comes in being able to do it. It's almost like you and I had talked about, when you have something or are something, you don't need to speak it. It's only those who are verbose in certain things that make you feel like they're very insecure in having it. And that's what a woman does well. I think she has certain things she doesn't need to speak it, but you just see her going to task and you notice it.
Right. Well, I think it's a little bit too, as far as intelligent goes, it's a little bit of that relatability. So, it depends on whatever level you're at with regards to what your interests are. You have to be able to communicate and be able to bond and get along and start creating a relationship. And you want to be on the same level. It's like, I've often said, with regards to dating someone so much younger, well, you can't really relate to what, they can't relate to a lot of the things that I've experienced, because my life is further along, or, let's assuming he's younger than me.
Yeah, you're right.
But, that type of thing. Oh, I think we do have a caller on the phone. So,
hello,
great. Hello, who do we have?
Hi, you have Penny over here.
Hey, Penny, thanks for calling in.
Hi,
How are you
Penny.
doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm freezing, but other than that, I'm okay.
Well, great. So glad you could call in. Penny, we're having a Women's Happy Hour today, and we're talking about women and the qualities of women, and what makes, as we did last week, we talked about what makes a good man or a quality man. So I'd literally like to start out by asking you, what qualities within yourself that you pride yourself in that you consider make you a good woman?
Honesty, Most of all, my sense of humor. I have a great sense of humor.
Uh-huh.
I'm a great listener. Like I said, funny. I'm a lousy cook. I'll put that in. That's a bad thing.
All right. We got two up and one down. Okay.
Well, you know how I look at it, Penny. I always say my specialty's not in the kitchen.
Oh, you go, girl. You go, girl.
That's a
I
good
like
way
that.
to put it.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes, I'm sorry, Eric.
No problem. No problem. What else would you say? You think quality makes you a good woman? A good woman for a date, relationship, that type of thing. What qualities do you have that you would find very appealing to somebody of the opposite sex?
Oh, well, okay, then we'll get right down to it. I pride myself in my body. I work out.
Uh-huh.
I continuously work out. And the fact, I guess, also that I've been in a relationship for 39 years. Unfortunately, my husband passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So I think I have the qualities because I learned it over time, what makes a man happy and how to make a relationship work. It's a give and take relationship. It's not always him. It's not always you.
Right.
And it's a lot of being there. It's a lot of listening. It's a lot. It comprises a million and one things. It's not just one. It's the whole person. It's showing that you care. You're there for that man. You're not materialistic. You're not moody. You're not whiny. Of course, that happens every once in a while, but you don't want to make it a constant diet of that.
Right.
And you basically just need to be there to hear him talk to you. At the end of the day, to be there for him.
Yep.
In as many ways as he needs it.
Well, that's a great answer, Penny, and that's so true. That's spoken from a person with wisdom and understanding relationships. I can definitely tell that.
Now, Penny, let me ask you, when you because you've said be there for him and be nurturing, loving, all of those things. Have you found, and we're looking at your past relationship with your husband, of course, but when we're looking at that and we're saying that, did he not give that back to you in return?
Oh, of course he did.
Right.
He was wonderful.
The point I wanted to make is that sometimes, if we make this first step and we're loving and giving and nurturing, if we give all that we would like to receive, we will get what we want back.
Very good point, Sissy.
Mm-hmm.
We would hope so.
We would hope so.
Yeah.
And if we do not, then we're probably looking at a relationship that's not working for us.
This is true. So then you say, there's the door, goodbye, have a lovely life.
Right, and you move on and
Yeah.
find that one person that, because that's the whole thing about love. Okay, we're talking about affairs of the heart. When you love someone, you want to make them happy. You want to keep them happy.
Yeah, that goes
Right.
goes with it. That's what it's all about, as far as I'm concerned.
It's not a job. It's not a duty. It's
and if it becomes a job or a duty, then you're deceiving yourself and you're deceiving him.
Right.
Absolutely.
So now that you have found yourself back out here in the dating arena, which I'm sure has its drawbacks and has been somewhat daunting and frightening at times.
Very much so.
What would you like to let our listeners know? What would be the one thing that you have found that might be a reoccurring theme over and over again that is disappointing to you now that you're back out here in the dating arena?
Oh, boy. Well, I would try to say to the other ladies to try to assess the sincerity of the person that you're dating. Mm-hmm. If he makes you a option instead of a priority, then he's not for you. Totally not for you. In the beginning, I can understand. Mm-hmm. But after a while, if he says, well, I can't come over because the guys want to go bowling, the guys want this, I have to do this with the guys and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Well, then he's making you an option. Mm-hmm. If he says that I have to take my daughter to the movies, or I promised I would take her, for driving lesson, then that's something that, you understand that has to take place.
Right.
But, I always say if somebody makes you an option, then what's the point? What's
Yeah.
the point?
Right.
That's very good advice.
Very good,
Very good.
very
Thank
good
you so much
advice.
for calling in. That's very, very good
Yeah.
advice.
And I have probably just one last question that I'd like to ask, and more along the lines, and you may have already answered this, but in words of wisdom, I asked, just like I asked the men last week, now that you've been through all the challenges and the ups and downs in your situation, had a great relationship, as a reference to, what one thing would you have to say about yourself that has improved over time, that would make you a better partner now than what you may have been 20, 30 years ago?
Well, the fact that I lost the best thing that I ever had, and the fact that I have learned so much these past, 6 years as a widow, and I know what I want, and I know what to expect in a relationship, because my late husband set the bar pretty high, and I feel I have a lot to bring forth to a relationship because of all the things that I experienced with my husband, and the fact that I grew up a tremendous amount in the past 6 years, and I think I'm a better person. I hate to say it, that I'm a better person because I've been alone for the past 6 years. I think so. I've had to stand on my own 2 feet. I've become very independent, and I don't put up with any nonsense, and I don't give any nonsense. So there you go.
Right. Well, that's spoken very well, Penny. I'm so glad you took the time to call into Affairs of Your Heart. Appreciate those comments, and feel free to tell your friends to listen into our show, and hopefully we can all figure this thing out together. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so
much.
much. Bye bye.
Let's give our call-in number. If anyone wants to call in, it's 813-235-0644. So if anyone else would like to call in, that's the call-in number, and we welcome your calls.
Right. And also, if you have additional comments or questions or things you don't get a chance to get on the air today, feel free to email myself or CC. Our email addresses are, mine is EZE, as it's spelled, EZE.affairs@gmail.com, and CC's is CC, which is CECE.affairs@gmail.com. Feel free to send us a message or an email, and we'll be happy to either read your question on the air and try to come up with some help and solutions for you, or we'll answer your question back through an email. So feel free to contact either now during the show or later on through our email addresses.
Right. You know, if you have a topic that you'd like to cover, like for us to cover, an expert you'd like to hear from, you know, that's what we'd like to hear from you, is what you would like to hear. So that's what the show is about. It's about affairs of your heart. And so that's what we want to do, is really be able to get in there and touch your heart and make a difference in your life.
Right.
So please do.
So one thing, CC, while we're having some time here, and I do want to get back to the qualities of a good man and compare them with what we talked about between a good man and a good woman. But I have a quote here, and I'd like your honest opinion of this quote. Okay.
And you know that I'll give that to you.
Right. It says, "Women are like apples on trees. The best ones are on the top of the tree. The men don't want to reach for the good ones because they are afraid of falling and don't want to get hurt. Instead, they just get the rotten apples from the ground that aren't so good but easy. So the apples on the top think something is wrong with them, when in reality they are amazing. They just have to wait for the right man to come along, the ones who's brave enough to climb all the way up to the top of the tree because they value quality." What do you think about that quote?
Well, I have a lot to say about that quote. No. You know what I think about that quote is that, you know, life is a journey, and the individuals that we meet, it's really just, we move through. They move through our lives, and with each one, they leave something behind, and something that we might have needed to know about ourselves, something we've learned from them. You know, we've been able to pick up as we go along. So I don't really think there's any bad apples, rotten apples. What I do feel is that there's a lot of turmoil, a lot of difficulties in life, a lot of challenges, you know, that individuals have to face and come up with. And, just like Penny calling in here, she had the love of her life. She did absolutely have the love of her life. She lost him, and now she's rebuilding, redefining herself as a beautiful woman that she is. And she's going to be able to go out and hopefully meet another man that is equally as wonderful. He's not going to be the same kind of man. He's just going to be different, but he's going to be wonderful too. So I think that's the top. Sometimes we're at the top of the tree, maybe out of fear. Maybe out of being a little bit reluctant. Maybe we need to find out a little bit more about ourselves.
Well, and I concur with what you said, and I guess that my reaction to what you're saying is, I think I would have to qualify some situations that you're online, you read a profile, you meet somebody, or you talk to them on the phone, and men or women, they represent themselves, or what they say they want isn't what they want, and a ball of confusion that you feel so disappointed that you started this process and found out that real wasn't real to begin with. And in some instances, yeah, for me at least, I'd say that's a bad apple I just came across.
Well, I understand. I understand what you're saying, and then
it's frustrating,
right? And people get disappointed, and then they say, "Oh, why am I even in this whole game of dating?" That type of thing. But I step back when that has happened to me. Believe it or not, I mean, it's happened to me probably more times than I care to even mention. But what I take from it is, with each one, I think to myself, where is my lesson here? What am I supposed to be learning? And the biggest thing that I think that I'm supposed to be learning is I need to listen, because they're telling me something. They, in their profiles, might have been written something I didn't catch when I talked to them on the phone, or they emailed me. I still didn't catch it, or maybe I wanted to believe more in them than what they really are worth believing in. So I try to step back from that rather than take and put it on me. I try to embrace it and make it a learning type of experience, because you know what? That guy is just one step more closer. I mean, if that makes sense, he is closer for me finding the right one. Yeah. Because I'm not going to find the right one if I don't get out there and try.
But in reality, 52 and turns out to be 62, and 150 and turns out to be 250. You didn't misread it; they misrepresented themselves.
Well, sure, and
people do that,
right?
So.
And the reality is they're going to do that so many times to eventually they're going to realize that they got to stop doing that, because they're not going to meet anybody that way. They're going to be disappointed. I think we have another caller.
Okay,
great.
All right.
Let's see. We might have another caller. Let's check it out.
Yeah, that was a good call we had.
That was a very good call. Yeah. So, I mean, I just try to keep everything as a learning experience rather than make it a negative thing for me.
Right, yeah.
And, okay, maybe that person needed to learn, hey, you're not, if you totally... I mean, women tend to fib a little bit about our age. We fib about two things. I'll tell you honestly, men out there. We fib about our age, okay? And we fib about how many pairs of high heels we own. We are not going to tell you how many high heels, and how many in the same color that we have. I mean, those are, they're privileges of being a woman.
And men, and that is true. They stretch the truth, and I think we've all suffered that experience from time to time, but
it's not the age; it's the spirit of the individual.
It absolutely is.
I have met guys younger than me and had an older spirit than I do.
Yeah.
So and I've met younger guys that
and it's not the changing. What I think disappoints me is that if you feel good about your core values, there's no need to represent it. I think it's just a red flag. I just think it's just a red flag that the core values aren't represented when they feel the need to do that. Right. Not that I lambaste them for doing it. I'm a very decent person, and neither following through or saying I feel like you misrepresented yourself. But when it when it goes away, I'm disappointed that they felt the need to do it, because I'm such a champion of people being themselves. So
I think we do have a caller.
We have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, who am I talking to?
I'm Joy in St. Pete.
Oh, hi, Joy. How are you this afternoon?
Hey, Joy. Thanks for joining us.
Well, we appreciate you giving the call into Affairs of the Heart this afternoon. We're having a ladies' happy hour today, and we're talking about women and having women discuss the positives and negatives of the dating arena, dating and relationships. So initially would like to ask you, as we did with the men last week, and what we're trying to be all about is self-promotion of an individual. I think it's very important that people begin to promote who they are, the things that they have to offer, and how to feel good about themselves. And so my initial question to you is, what qualities or characteristics that did you feel you have that you take ownership and pride in that would qualify you to be a good woman?
A good woman.
A good
Wow.
woman. A good, mature,
woman.
responsible woman.
I mean, I'm totally honest, and I'd almost say to a fault in that I say what I think, and I'm very open with my feelings and my ideas.
Okay.
And I really am looking for a partner that as well is very honest and open, and not with like some hidden agenda kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's exactly a categorical answer.
Well,
honesty. I mean,
I
that
think
seems
honesty.
so odd, but
Yeah, that's along the lines of what we're looking for. What else about you, though, other than being honest? I know there's some good things that you do. You pride yourself in.
I pride myself in. I mean, I don't know. I'm a goal setter. I make plans and I have good things happen.
Right.
I like to travel. I like to go different places, enjoy different things. And it takes planning and effort, and that is another one of those areas that sometimes I don't connect well with what men are thinking on the whole effort category.
Uh-huh.
Like,
right.
As it relates to being, a goal setter and making things happen, it's like, okay, is that so hard, or am I overly outgoing and assertive? Because I mean, I don't know.
Well,
This is kind of a question that seems to come up with me.
Excuse me. Do you think that because you're a planner, that you think that they, the men that you've met, does that bother them? Has that bothered them?
Well, they don't want to plan. Like, they don't want to commit to something 2 days from now.
Right.
And I'd have to say along the line, I know Joy, and I've sat back, and what we're talking about is the core values of people, and the things that are the core values of people, and the things that are often not discussed. And here's one thing. We got some. Here.
I don't know if you all are hearing it out there. We're having some technical problems here in the studio, so just bear with us. If you're not hearing what we're hearing, we're happy for you.
Okay. Are you still there, Joy?
Hey, Joy, are you there? Hello. Well, you know what? I think maybe it might be something. Have you terminated the call? You terminate the call. I think it's something on her end, maybe her cell phone or something. So yeah, I think that was on her end, her cell phone. Feedback, I think, for her phone. So, well, let's talk about that a little bit.
One thing I wanted to point out with Joy, and this is when we're talking about core values. And I've known her. I've been in her home. Her and I have worked on some projects together, and we've done it. And I've been to a dinner party at her house with a bunch of people. And it's the one thing if you ask me, what do I see about Joy that I noticed that makes me feel good? I could say Joy is an excellent mother to her daughter. Joy's father doesn't reside with them. And I've seen Joy be a leader, a path setter, a direction setter for her daughter, and not once have I ever heard her lambaste her ex or say, I wish a man was here to help me, or anything else. I've never heard her utter those statements, and she does a role model job for her daughter. And that's what we're talking about, core values. Her and I have never spoken
So she's
that.
like self-sufficient,
Right.
and that's one of the things when I was
Self-sufficient.
doing my research that came up as being self-sufficient.
Uh-huh.
And the reason that is, it's not necessarily like you're making more money or anything like that.
Right.
It's those type of things that you're organized, that you you can. You're able to be able to be a leader, take charge if you need to take charge. You're not as needy.
Yeah.
You're not looking for the guy to always make the decision of everything that needs to be done. Sometimes they like a break. They work
Right.
all day and they want to come home, and they like a woman that occasionally says, hey, I'd like to go and do this.
Right.
You know,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah,
so
that's true.
so they're
Very
okay
true.
with that.
Right.
What I would suggest for Joy is to ask herself, where is she at with that? Like she says, okay, she's a planner and organizer, and then some of the guys she's meeting, they kind of don't like that. Well, she needs to find the guys that are okay with that. Or what she needs to do is step back occasionally and let them organize and plan. And let them be a man, because sometimes men are intimidated by strong women.
Well,
And
I think that's the case, but what I think becomes a frustration in talking to women that they suffer is it's not so much that you're that way. I think a lot of it is, and I'd have to say it, in those situations, men aren't always forthright with coming forward and saying what they're there for, and what it's one thing if you know that they're there for the long term and they want to build something. If they're not there for the long term, then that's where the disconnect becomes in, because a woman's perceiving it, let's do things in an orderly manner, and he's frustrated because that isn't what he really wants to get to. And I think that's where a lot of the
then you're
disconnect
talking
comes
about lapsing in communication.
Yeah.
You have to be on the same page, at the same time. And so as you're moving through the relationship,
Yeah.
I think us women, we kind of like a little bit of clarity as where you're going, and we prefer not to ask that.
Right.
But men is they do things by action. So if they're not performing and they're not like Penny was saying, if they don't make you, and if they're making you an option, they're just not in the game. They're not in it. And I hate to call it a game, but building a relationship is somewhat of a dance.
Yes.
It's the man moves forward, we move forward, they move backwards a little bit, and it just kind of it's a little bit of a dance and pull and take a little bit. And I think we have to allow a good quality woman will know that she needs, the areas that she does need to step back if she's really into the guy enough to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it
goes
both ways.
It really does go both ways, and like I said, it's just my vision. It's the only vision or the best vision or whatever, but in this helter-skelter thing, I just believe if you can initially confront and look at what that person's core values are, then a whole lot of things. Because I don't think a good man is going to come forward, is going to act like he's just there for the booty call, or he's going to be suspicious. Good men don't want to do that. They're wanting to build something in a variety of ways that you'll see. And so sometimes I think, and that's what I was saying last week, I think it's so erroneous sometimes. A woman has to distinguish between good qualities in a person and what her needs are. If you lead with your needs, then any man can act like he can fulfill those needs to achieve his objective. But if you lead with looking at, not giving up who you are till you see what this person is in front of you, vice versa, that at least I think, I'm not saying it's the solution to everything, but at least gives you a better shot at it, I think.
Right, I agree. And, as you're going through dating, you initially meet, what you're doing is you're both starting to match up your qualities with each other to see if you're going to be, somewhat similar.
Right.
You're not going to have everything exact, because you don't really want everything to be exact.
Right.
Because you want to be able to explore, and we are forever changing. We're human beings. beings, and so our minds are constantly in action. We're constantly, moving and changing our way of thinking. And when we meet someone, maybe he might have, and I look at it from a woman's point of view, maybe he might have something a little bit different. And so if we have an open mind and an open heart, we might be able to, eventually connect with that. But as we're moving through the beginning of the dating stage, we are starting to sum him up and he's summing us up to see if we are of the quality that that he wants and that we want.
Right.
And when and we're too quick, I think, with that, because we go through several dates and we make an assumption, he's not right.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, a lot of times guys are a little bit more reserved
Right.
about that. So I think we have to give them a little bit of space to be able to do. You can think about when you first start dating somebody, you're so nervous.
Right.
I know I am not really
Right.
who I am,
Right.
and because I think I appear kind of shy, but I guess I am. As
You shy?
see me in real life, but I am actually kind of shy, but in certain things. But I am, a bit opinion. Well, even the sound guy says no.
Are we able to have any more callers, or
Do we need to take a break now?
do we need to take a
Because
break?
I know we're having so much fun talking.
Yeah, we are. We are
Yeah.
having a whole lot. I want to stay on key here. So why don't we just keep going for right now? We
Okay.
kind of lost Joy, and perhaps we can get her on here. I think we have another call out there eventually we want to get to, but yeah, I think you raised some good points in that. I think, and here's the one example that when I say you look for your core values. Now, in the dating arena, whether on the phone or in person, I'm out on a date, and a woman asks me just subtly, well, how many children do you have? And I mention it, and they'll say, so they're boys or girls? Well, I rear back and talk about my daughters, and it's a natural. They clearly see this man likes his kids because it comes up out of me. You know what I mean? And
But see, that's very important, because if you met someone that is not a family person,
Right.
they're going to know right away, well, this
Right,
guy is
right.
really into his family. But it's not just it's not just that, but if they're not a family person, they know that they shouldn't,
go
shouldn't
forward.
go with
Right.
that. I know I'm a family person. I have grown children and I have a 10-year-old, So it's very important to me that someone is going to be okay with
Right.
having a family. And I find it myself very sexy that a guy is into his family.
Yeah, and that's what I
know?
mean. You get to see a core something that all you did was ask him, and you see it. He didn't. It just was natural, And I think that one of the questions that I always was confronted with that used to always somewhat irk me that I couldn't give the right answer was getting to know on first conversation, first meeting. So tell me about your marriage, or why did you get divorced? Those, and my mind says there's an eon amount of history here to answer that question that I'll be subjected to their opinion of what my answer is.
But it's an important question.
It is, but is it appropriately placed?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes you want to just get things over with. And I remember one date I was on, and I asked the guy that. And he said to me, you know what? Life is hard, and I screwed up.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
And it's not that she wasn't a good woman, and it's not that I'm a bad man. I just, it just, over the time, it just got away.
Yeah.
Just got away from us. And I think that was really, I respected him for that, because he didn't down her. He didn't down
Right.
himself. But what he really told me is that, you know what? He appreciated the fact that he had a good relationship at one time,
Right.
and he lost it. And what he really would like is another one again.
Yeah.
And so I admired that remark.
Yeah.
I thought that was really great. And it was also an even keeled.
Yeah,
He
well, I
wasn't going to get in trouble on that
Yeah,
one.
I think it's a good question, but I think my mind says, you don't even know me yet. You haven't found out who I am as a person to
Well,
want
it's
to
not.
know
It
about my
shouldn't.
history.
It shouldn't be a first date
Yeah,
question.
yeah, that's
it
what-
shouldn't be
yeah.
a first date. I mean, you can ask if you're divorced. Are
Right,
you divorced?
right,
Oh,
right,
okay.
right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
But kind of move on to more, because the thing is, you want to know someone more in depth. You know?
Yeah.
For instance, I met a guy, and we were talking or whatever, and I don't know how many dates down the road, and he told me that he left his wife because she had gotten cancer. And I thought right away, you know what? He's not the guy for me.
Right.
Because I thought loyalty and, being respectful. And I want someone there for me if I would become sick. And I know I would want to be there for him if he became sick.
Right.
So if his core value was to desert someone in their desperate time of need.
Right.
I thought, he's not for me.
Yeah.
So it is important to ask those questions and get to know someone, but not necessarily on the first date.
And what I have found, and I know I've been asked sometimes, well, you don't ask a lot of questions. I have found if you just relate with somebody, you're just there to be together and have a good time, people will talk about things. A lot of information will come out without you having to ask any questions or those type of things. It will just come out. And so I'm not a good interrogator up front. That never has been my style.
Well, you really shouldn't be.
Yeah,
your questions should come, with the flow of the conversation.
Yeah, if it comes across my mind, I want to ask. Sure, I'll ask. And I ask the basic, you have children, and a few things. But I'm not like, so tell me about, that. That's just not my, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just not my particular style. I believe the more you interact and laugh and talk about your children, your ex, everything comes up. And I personally, I feel more comfortable with it coming up that way.
Oh, absolutely. Because what you want to show is your partner. You want to show them that you are interested in them and that you want them.
Right. Right.
So you want to definitely be able to have that relatability.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is very good. And I'm excited that I guess we've learned
because we are good quality people.
Right, and we see a lot of things, and you're absolutely right. We see a lot of things, and that's what is exciting because I want people to see that this is about love, like we talked last week, a lot of self-love and self-respect, that there's good things in them no matter what they've been through. And that's, of course, the bio I wrote for this show. It's we survived all that, and now let's enjoy our celebration because we're a whole lot wiser. So let's be a whole lot wiser with our hearts now. Let's not keep committing the same things over and over. And if you find yourself it's time to step back and say, I need to look at things a bit different, or I need to read. I need to find a way to look at things different to make myself a happier person. So,
absolutely, and that's the growth period. And that's why I think a show like this one is fabulous because it really gets you in touch with how other people are thinking and what their feelings are, and then it makes you stop for a minute and think about yourself. Yeah. About your own, and that's what we really need to do. Is we need to be in touch with ourselves. So I think that's really what we need to do.
One thing that I found out about myself, and I mentioned last week, I'm very much into the law of attraction and all that, and I try real hard, CC, to be an extremely positive person.
Oh, we're talking about being positive.
I'm only in the 80th percentile, but you know what?
I thought you were attracted to another woman, or you were attracted to a...
No, just positive in my day-to-day environment, and I've noticed when I'm feeling good and positive about some things, I notice the good in other people around me, a smile or whatever. When I'm feeling whatever, negative or something happened, then I'm grumbling at the drivers beside me and I'm upset that there was a long cashier line.
Well, that's a good...
noticing the other negative. You start noticing negativity.
Well, that's a good point to bring up because when we're going into the dating arena, if we go into it with a negative attitude, we're going to meet and bring out negative in people. Right. And the thing is the person that you're talking with, they may very well not be negative, but because you've gone on and had this air about you, they've then become starting to become negative. And so what you want to do is really be ready to get out there and date. Really, you have to know yourself. But the thing is, you can't have fear of doing it. So, if the first time getting out of the gate, you just got to get out of the gate, but have a positive and just really think it's going to be a joyful thing. That is one of the I wanted to just bring that about as quality woman is having a good sense of humor.
Is Sarah on the line or?
No,
okay.
No, wasn't able to.
Okay.
But to really focus on having fun and sharing joy with others. So if you look at when you're going into dating, You know, if you look at just having a good time, and you've mentioned this numerous times, to just go in and just say you're going to have a good time, you will have one.
Because you can be in charge at a time. You can say, I don't know a whole lot about this person, but I know I'm going to have a good time, so therefore they're going to have a good time. That's the only requirement you need. Go in to know that time spent is going to be an enjoyable time. Because why shouldn't it be? You can make a good time just by yourself. You can say, let's go have some fun. Let's be relaxed. Let's not be confrontational and have a good time. And that person will be at ease. And whether you don't make decisions, whether it's a lifelong partner, what's going to happen, whether we'll see each other again, none of those things are decided at that time. All you want to walk away with is knowing that my time was well spent.
Right.
No matter what the outcome.
I did a little bit of research, and when I came up with this, I thought this was really interesting. Embracing the feminine energy, you know that you are the gatekeeper to great dates.
Oh, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but it looks like we have a caller on the line.
We do have a caller.
Yeah,
okay.
That's great.
So just go ahead and cut me off. Welcome, caller. Who are you?
Oh, hi. My name is Janet.
Hey, Janet. How are you?
Excellent. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Now, we're talking about a quality woman. So do you have any comments with regards to a quality woman? I think I know your voice.
Yes, I have a little cold, so it may not be as easy to detect today.
Yeah,
I was watching along and enjoying your conversation.
Oh, is this Janet Tatum?
Yes,
yes,
it is.
I got it right. Well, thank you for listening to the show, Janet. Well, tell us a little bit about, a quality woman. What was your comments on that?
Well, what I noticed when I was online connecting with your show, I don't know who wrote the foreword or to Affairs of the Heart, but I did also notice it says it's called Affairs of Your Heart. So I looked at that a minute and I thought, gee, that's an interesting comment. It's an interesting name because it's talking about the affairs of my heart, not my view of everybody's character or everybody else's character.
Absolutely.
So it made me, it started to make me think that what do I consider character? What do I think I bring to the world? And of course, one of the things that popped in my mind was a woman who is herself in a world that is always trying to make her someone else or somebody better. So she can be happy in her own skin. Mm-hmm. Maybe that she doesn't want to be somebody else. She'd rather be her than somebody else. She invests in taking care of those things of her heart, the healing, if there's been brokenness through the years. She makes an investment to that piece of her life and from the things that hold her back from being the woman that she knows and feels she is. Maybe loving. Go ahead. Do you want to comment on that? Oh,
yeah, I was just going to say I appreciate you saying that, Janet. That is so true. And that, as you read in the preface, which I was the author of, that's what I want to start out as the beginning of people focusing on who they are and self-love and finding out the good things about themselves. Because once you realize the things about yourself, that's what will be projected naturally,
Absolutely.
So.
And what else were you going to say? You were going to mention something about love or?
I believe, and I found this to be true in my own life, we can only give what we have. Love we all aspire, and there's millions of books on the topic, and love is just a natural human. It's a natural human design. We're designed for love. We're designed to love people, to be loved, to receive love. It's kind of what we're made out of. That's what I believe. It's the core. It's the essence. The heart is not just the romantic love. We tend to think of romantic love, which is only one form of love, eros love between a man and a woman. There's family love, there's brotherly love, there's agape love, which is God's kind of love. So there's love everywhere. So I don't think about it just in terms of romance, you know.
Yeah, very true.
Absolutely.
And so we can only give what I found. We can only give to others what we have received in the area of love. Many people don't. They haven't gotten. Nobody's gotten everything they need. Certainly not. No humans have gotten every single thing they need in life. We all have. We're all kind of, have some levels of deficit in some way more than others. I've worked with children through the years and teens and women on. You hear people's stories of what they've come out of and what they lived through. So even though they're designed to love, but the hunger is always there. That's the one thing I see with everybody. So to me, a woman of quality is if she will spend in the investment is the word that keeps popping in my head. She'll invest in herself because everything she invests in her, she can bring to the world around her. If her heart has been broken, as I said, if she's had a bad childhood, if she's been hurt, and those are many people's stories.
Right,
true. Not enough people turn around and do the work. They don't do that, and then they just keep wounding other people.
You're so right. Well, Janet, it's an honor to have you listen to the show and tell us a little bit about yourself, because I'd like the listeners to hear, what your background is, and I'd love for them to be able to, reach you if they need to. So tell us a little bit about yourself, just briefly.
My name is Janet Tatum. I have a pastoral counseling practice that's called Healing Hearts and Restoring Lives. It's really Janet-Tatum.com. You can go on my website. I've worked for the past 10 years plus studying trauma, learning about the trauma to the heart, and the all the different faces of that kind of trauma. From brokenness, again, broken heart, not just romantic broken heart, but from families and just whatever the things that bounce humans around and wound and put cracks in those hearts. So that's my business, and I speak on the topic, and I just love that, and kind of in my calling in life. So.
Well, that's just a wonderful thing to hear. Would love to have you as a guest on our show at some time in the future, because I think what you're doing is the work that I honestly believe needs to be done, and I have a passion, just the things that you spoke about, that's where it has to start at. I think too many of us are going out there trying to get what we want when we haven't fixed the issues that we've got in it, and that's not a bad thing. We've all been there. It's just you got to do the work in order to improve it. And what you're saying and what you're talking, I'm sure we could all learn something to have you sit down and talk to us.
Right. Well, thank you, Janet,
I would love to.
Oh, we would love to.
I really
you
have concluded. I think maybe I think most people really want to. They just don't know how. They don't know the right avenue. I haven't heard it presented right.
Right.
They're like, I don't want to lay on some couch and some counseling. This is different. It's taking the wounds of the heart and bringing healing to them. It's not just talking about the wounds or remembering them. It's a place to get free from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for listening to our show. I'm very touched.
It was wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, you're wonderful. I know Janet personally, and she's just a great gal, and it's just wonderful that you're listening. So thank you so much, Janet, for listening.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to.
Okay, and I look forward to meeting you at some time in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime, just get with CC or get on my website or give me a call, and I certainly would love to.
Give us your website real quick one more time. What's your website?
It's Janet-Tatum.com. That's it. Janet-Tatum, TATUM.com.
Wonderful.
Great.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, she is one super lady, and she's so right about healing yourself, because as you're going through, and many times as we're going through dating, we maybe don't realize that we haven't healed.
Yeah, a lot of us don't want to admit it, and that's a tough thing, I think, particularly for a lot of men, which is why I really have a passion to develop this, because I, as we have talked, our plans for the future and additional shows is to build upon this and provide a gateway where people can start feeling comfortable to come get some of those answers. A radio show is one of the perfect vehicles. They're in the privacy of their home. Hopefully we mentioned something, have a person come on, a guest speaker or something, or mention a book or reading that they can go find out and begin working on some of these things.
Right. And of course, if you missed an episode, Affairs of Your Heart will be on a podcast, and you can go to that and listen anytime.
Right, absolutely.
So you can listen to it again if you've missed something, because a lot of times as we're learning, we don't really hear everything.
Yeah,
We can only absorb so many things. So if we're having a big issue in a particular area, you can go back to the podcast. You can listen again.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful, being part of, the station here, which is the Talkwad station.
Yeah.
And so it's great. I mean, there's a lot of really good programs
Yeah.
in Talkwad that people should check out.
Yeah, and speaking of programs,
Which is mine on Going Solo.
right.
Let me do my own advertisement.
Got to get that in there. As I mentioned, I'm excited about partnering with CC because we have a passion and a direction to really hopefully inspire. As I mentioned, this is a show for us, by us, in hopes of finding a better us. That's what this is about. For all of us, we're all working on these things collectively and individually as our needs. And next week's show, what I'd like to do is perhaps have a couple people come in the studio with us, and let's sit down and talk about all this information we've gathered over the past couple weeks, and also get some opinions from people as far as, now that we understand where some of these people are at and how they're feeling good about themselves, now how can we turn this around, turn it into some beneficial value for people to step forward and maybe move into that dating arena and those type of things.
Right. So you're thinking if they have some fear with regards to dating, or maybe possibly if they are out there dating, what's holding them back?
What's holding them back? Absolutely.
Because a lot of times we can meet a quality individual, we're just not quite ready. Timing is everything.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself, is it you that's stepping back from it? So.
Yeah. And one thing that we don't have a chance while we're winding down here on this show. One of the things that is puzzling on my mind, and I've gone back and forth with weighing it, and it really is a problem. We've discussed some of the issues, but one of the things we haven't discussed yet is, do people really, truly know what they want? And are they able to express what they want? And the reason I say express it is because sometimes people feel to give the answer that's more the answer that they're supposed to give, as opposed to saying what it is they truly want, or if they really know. I think there's a lot of people that don't know what they want, and I can look at a period of my life where I could say I knew what I wanted, but in reality, I really didn't know what I wanted.
Yeah, that would be a good topic to have, because I know even for myself, as I moved through, what I wanted changed.
Yeah,
and then I realized that maybe I was wanting too much.
Right.
So that, I think that would be a very good subject, and maybe you out there, the listeners and viewers, can let us know what you'd like. If you think that's a topic that you would be interested in, just send us an email. And you want to give them our emails again?
Again, you can reach us with your comments and questions at EZE, as it's spelled, eze.affairs@gmail.com, or ccece.affairs@gmail.com. Feel free to send us your questions, your comments, and ideas you have for additional shows, and we'll keep coming up with topics and coming up with people of value that can come on and share more expertise on certain areas, and like I said, and try to move us forward in this arena. So I'm excited. I'm always excited about the future, because that's a positive nature of me coming in. I'm rooting for all of us to be successful, be on the top of the mountain, happy as ever.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, CC, it's been my pleasure to do this first show with you. It's
thank
been a
you.
blast. I truly have enjoyed it. I'll look forward to working on additional shows. And you, our listeners, make sure you tell your family and friends about our show. And feel free to call in. Once again, you can reach us any Sunday at 5:30 to 6:30 at www.liveandloveradio.com. There'll be several shows listed there, including CeCe's show, Going Solo, Life After Divorce. And if you click on the first show, Affairs of Your Heart, that'll bring you into our window here at the 5:30 to 6:30 hour. And again, you can call in at any time during that time at area code 813-235-0644. So,
Right. Well, it was a great show. I enjoyed it very much.
I did too. And thank you so much. And we'll see you again next Sunday. This is Easy E
And CeCe.
for Affairs of Your Heart. Good afternoon.
Bye now.
The west central coast of Florida has an amazing music scene. Festivals, clubs, special performances, and there's always a lot of live music. The problem has always been getting the word out about events. Then GoTonight.com emerged on the scene. The brainstorm creation of founder Don McKeon, a Sarasota entrepreneur. We caught up with Don and his inspirational friend, Frank Papa, at the Flying Dog Cafe.
This is Frank. I'm Don. Frank is the reason that there is a GoTonight.com. He would call me repeatedly.
Where are we going? Where do you want to go? Where will we go tonight?
The website has been a boon to many small clubs. So next time you find yourself asking, where will we go tonight? You've got the answer.
Thank you for tuning in to TalkWad.com, the world's fastest growing internet radio network. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com.